Greg Johnson here with another edition of the Sales Success Series. Today we're going to talk about seasonal businesses and how some reps are having some problems seeing that as an obstacle in closing a deal. First of all, as far as like a website is concerned, that should never ever be a deal. It would be like shutting your phone line off in the winter time, right? You know, bid work is always out there. Let's just break it down per industry. So a lot of times we deal with landscape contractors, particularly on the commercial end. People are negotiating the contracts, who they're going to use for commercial landscape in the winter months, right? That's when they negotiate the contracts for grass cutting and landscape services in the winter. And then once the season starts, it's game on, right? And a lot of the landscape companies also do snow removal. So I'll give you a playback to that, right? Swimming pool dealers, let's say swimming pools, that's a year-round business now, not servicing where people are actually swimming in the pool, well, depending on the area you're at. This is obviously reaching areas where swimming pool is all the time, but in the Northeast and other sectors of the country, it's a seasonal business, but the installation is kind of all year now. If you're in a resort area, there's some seasonality to that. I live in a resort area. Check out my background, right? So I live in a resort town that's extremely busy in the summer months. You know, we're in the Northeast. It's on the Atlantic coast, so it's, empty in the winter. Pest control industry in the Northeast is very seasonal, but the industry changes, and I'll talk about that a little bit in some of my clients. But we do have products that appeal to seasonality if you look at it, right? So what I would normally do, depending on the industry, if it's a pest control industry, for instance, I would talk a little bit about, certain pests, like in certain sectors in certain parts of the country. It's kind of like the growing season. Like if you're a gardener, they'll tell you what grows and when to plant what grows at a certain time of year. Well, there's the same in the pest control industry. So I don't know if this happens down south. I have to check that out more. I'm more in tune to the eastern coast. So there's a certain season, it's called the swarm season, is when like the weather kind of breaks up here and there is a swarm of termites. That's when they fly, and it's called the swarm. So that may happen in March, April, depending upon the season. That's one of the most profitable ventures. So clients are appealing for that. However, so if they're in the pest control industry in certain areas, their seasonality will change to removing, raccoons from getting in attics, to animal removal from pest control. So I have clients. The beauty is we have products so a particular client of mine is a very large search engine market advertiser with us, spending about $10,000 a month in seasonality. Once he drops off and he's going strictly to animal removal in our area, he's dropping his budget down to $2,000, $1,500, and then he escalates it as the business climbs and then drops it off as the business slows. So if you look at our search products, right? Our search products, you have a $3,000. So once I get a client to agree to something, even if it's a seasonal business, right? So once you try to get someone to agree to a certain budget, and there's a certain buying season and the value to a client, right? So whatever that value is, and they agree to, hey, I would be willing to spend X amount of dollars for X amount of time, right? And you can parlay that time. So if it was $12,000 for a year, you can take that down to a quarterly average, right? Which will put you in a different classification. But for instance, in the, not to confuse it, but in the, like for the pest control industry, this client's above $3,000 pretty much across the board. So he's on a month-to-month now, 3-month contract. But you could sell anyone $3,000 on a 3-month contract. That's not what we want to do, right? But that definitely creates the opportunity for them to come in and use our products and get our services. And we may have to adjust their budget as they go along. He initially started just coming in for a season and leaving. Now he stays the whole time, right? The other thing I do, if we look at our display product, if you line it up perfect, like now's the time we should be out there going after the seasonal type businesses for the spring and summer, and go after those businesses with a $199 and above. $199, I think, to $498 or $500. We have a 6-month contract, which is perfect. Like, what's that? April, May to October. That's like the window, right? So now's the time to hit that. So that type of situation. So we have products that answer those needs. The other thing is, like, if you have the landscape contractor we talked about, a lot of times they'll do snow removal. If they're on a search program and you take some of that budget and you solely shut off all the landscaping stuff and you strictly go to snow removal, there will only be viable action in that snow removal heading if there's snow. Obviously, that won't be useful in the South and the West Coast, but it's all things like that. And every different area, I have to understand the geographics a little better, but everyone has their needs and everyone has their seasonality. So you just have to adjust it. We have products that are 12 months, products that are 3 months, and products that are 6 months, right? So there's nothing shorter a season than 3 months. So if the client's budget, if they can make a return on their investment and investing $9,000, well, and you can only do that in 3 months, and that's the only buying season, then sell them what they need, help them out, get results, and they'll come with you every year for $3,000, or hopefully they'll find some other areas. For instance, my pest control company, right? This just came to mind. My pest control company opened up an insulation company, right? Now they're running a couple $1,000s a month. They do not shut that off at all. That runs all year. Because he saw the results I found for him in pest control, and he figured, well, I could move it to his other business. So now he created a company just to do insulation, right? I'm also working on him now for another year-round business for a home improvement ad to run for $5,000 year-round. So a lot of times we create this investment, this $3,000 thing for this seasonal business. These people normally, if they're go-getters and hungry, they have other businesses they run in the off-season. And we can mirror them together. We can find ways to meld them together and make that work, right? So don't lose the creativity in that. So they're normally, most people, unless they're extremely wealthy, after 3 months, they're not heading off to the islands, right? So there's something else they're doing that we can match up with. Today is the day.